Chapter 13. You're doomed. Scott! Rusty shouted when Scott burst out of the passageway. Here he is, you guys. And Tiger's with him. Raymond and Kev and Eric came running from all directions. Tiger moved away quickly, keeping his back to the hill. You guys better not start anything, he warned, raising doubled up fists. Hey, what's wrong with you? Rusty asked. You know what's wrong, Tiger snarled, looking mean. I heard Scott talking to my Aunt Addie, and I followed him to your house. He couldn't wait to blab what she told him. But just because my name is Elwood Julian Bates doesn't mean I'm a sissy. I can lick you one at a time or all together. Together. Elwood Julian, huh? Rusty chuckled. That's pretty bad, all right, but it's not as bad as mine. Tiger looked confused, but he kept his guard up. What do you mean, not as bad as yours? Kev swaggered up beside Rusty and cleared his voice. Gentlemen, he bawled in a nasal voice like the announcer at a sporting event, allow me to introduce the one, the only. Kev waved his hand toward Rusty with a flourish. Mr. Francis Quillian O'Hara. Francis Quillian? Tiger's eyes widened. Is that really your name? Rusty grinned sheepishly. Yeah, I was named for my grandfathers. The fights went out of Tiger like the air from a leaky balloon. He dropped his hands and grinned. That's almost as bad as Elwood Julian. What do you mean, almost? Rusty put his hands on his hips. With a name like Elwood, you can call yourself Woody if you want to. I'm just lucky I've got red hair. Lots of kids have names they don't like, said Scott, but it's not worth fighting about. Some of the kids at my old school thought it was, said Tiger. When they found out what EJ stands for, they said it was a sissy name. They used to beat me up. So when Dad and I moved here, I changed my name to Tiger and started acting tough to scare everybody off. I think you sort of overdid the tough stuff, said Eric. Tiger nodded. I finally figured out that when nobody would come around, I wanted to make friends, and I thought I had a chance when I hit the ball for a grand slam. He glanced over at Scott. Then you caught the ball and spoiled everything. That was just a lucky catch. Scott dug his toe in the dirt. I couldn't do it again in a million years if I hadn't been using my dad's mitt. The mitt. Scott had forgotten all about it until now. Where's the mitt? You promised to give it back if I came to the cave. Belongs to my dad, and I need it right away. It's really important. I don't have it, Tiger said. I You don't have it, Scott shouted, his heart starting to pound. Where is it? Did you leave it in the cave? No, no, it's not in the cave. Tiger shifted his weight from one foot to the other. I left it. Where? Where? Scott yelled. Everybody moved in on Tiger. I'll go get it. Tiger bolted and raced down the path. He must have left it on his bike, said Rusty. Scott paced back and forth while they waited. The minutes slipped by. What's taking him so long? They hurried down the path to find out. There was no sign of Tiger. I'm going to find him. We'll come with you, said Rusty. They all ran down the trail. When they came to the end where they had parked their bikes, they stopped. Did anyone see Tiger's bike when we were looking for Scott? Kev said. They all shook their heads. We're not even sure he came this way, said Eric. He could have taken one of the other trails leading to the hill. There he goes, Rusty yelled, pointing to a rider disappearing down the road. We'll never catch him now. That rat tricked me again. Scott kicked the pine cone out of the trail. Now I'll never get the mitt back in time. What am I going to tell Dad when he starts looking for it tonight? You're doomed, said Kev, drawing a finger across his throat. You'll be grounded for the whole summer, maybe even a year. We've still got some time before your dad comes home, said Rusty, pushing up the kickstand on his bike. Let's go back to town and look for Tiger. They climbed on their bikes and started off. What if Tiger doesn't have the mitt anymore? Scott wondered. What if he threw it away or left it in that old cellar? He might have been lying about leaving it in the cave, too. Whatever Tiger did with it, there was no way he'd get it back before he had to tell Dad tonight. Scott felt sick just thinking about it. Dad loved that old mitt. The more Scott thought about it, the madder he got. He rode up beside Rusty. I think we'll have a better chance of finding Tiger if we split up. When we get back to town, you guys ride around and look for him. I'm going over to Tiger's house to see if he's home. Good idea, Rusty agreed. We'll find that cheater. When they got to Ninth Street, Scott and Raymond turned off. Scott pedaled a little faster as they passed Conroy Street. Where are you going? Raymond called. I have to go home. In a few minutes, Scott called back over his shoulder. I'm going to Tiger's first to make him give Dad's mitt back. I can't wait a few more minutes. Raymond braked to a stop. I have to go now. Oh? Scott turned his bike around. He'd have to take Raymond home first. Maybe Tiger wasn't home anyway. Maybe he was hiding somewhere. It didn't matter. Scott was going to find him no matter how long it took. Mom was already home when they got there. She looked relieved when Raymond rushed into the kitchen. Where have you been? Did you have a good time? How is your eye? Fine, Raymond called as he dashed down the hall and up the stairs. You'll be glad to know, Mom said, turning to Scott. I will only be working in the mornings for the next couple of days. Then I will be off for the summer. That's great, Mom. Not that it mattered now. When Dad found out about the mitt, he wouldn't be going anywhere for a long time. Can I go over to... Before Scott got the words out, the doorbell rang. Mom went to answer it. Joey was standing there with a bat over his shoulder and a ball in his hand. The front of his t-shirt and knees of his jeans were streaked with grass stains. I'm Mrs. Forbes, he said, looking at Mom from the bill under the bill of his baseball cap. Can Ray come out and play? Ray? You mean Raymond? Mom looked a little flustered. Oh, I'm afraid. Joey! Raymond came clattering down the stairs. Hi, Ray. Joey's freckled face broke into a grin. I just got this new bat and ball. You want to come out and play? Sure. Raymond's face glowed with excitement. Now, Raymond, Mom put her hand on his shoulder. You've just come back from a bike ride. You need to rest. Mom, Raymond said in a loud whisper, taking her aside. I'm not tired. I don't need to rest. Please don't say that in front of my friend. I'm not a baby anymore. So I see. Mom sounded funny. She reached up to rumple Raymond's hair, then let her hand drop. You may go out and play in the backyard until your father comes home. Grinning, Raymond rushed out the door and down the steps with Joey. They were chattering excitedly as they went around the corner of the house. Mom put her fingers over her lips as she watched him go. I can't believe your little brother has changed so much in the last few days. I think Raymond has been a regular kid for a long time, said Scott. We just never noticed it before. You may be right, Mom admitted, but I want you to go around back and keep an eye on them. I don't want any baseballs crashing through my windows while I'm cooking dinner. But, Mom, Scott protested, I wanted to. No arguments. Mom held up her hand to stop his words. I need time to get used to the idea, Scott. She smiled. You can go wherever you want after dinner. Scott sighed. After dinner, it would be too late. Kev was right. He was doomed.